there, BookTube. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to the continuation of Books Like These. I'm going through the list of books that I read in April and finding a theme in each one of the books that I read and linking it to another book that I read recently. Kind of an if you like this, then you like this kind of recommendation. For each book that I read though, I'm finding two themes in each book. So for each book that I read in April, I'm linking it to two other books. So we started off this video with a part one where I talked about the first 5 books that I read in April, and today we're back for books 6 to 10. So let's see if we can finish up our list of April reads and Books Like These. The Peculiar Life of a Lonely Postman by Denis Theriault is a short novel, almost a novella, and it's about a reclusive postman who gets his social fix from intercepting personal mail and reading them before he makes his deliveries. When you get over the harsh reaction that you might have about someone intercepting your personal mail and reading intimate thoughts that you meant for someone else, you might accept that this is a book about solitude and how various people react to the idea that they have no one to share their intimate thoughts and feelings with. Another book that explores this idea of loneliness was Jonathan Safran Foer's Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. This is about a 9-year-old boy whose father died in the World Trade Center attacks on September 11th. And while the people around him are also mourning that loss, he doesn't have anyone with whom to connect and to really explore the feelings that he's having at having lost his dad. And so he starts to send these letters to people with whom he has no chance of really striking up a real relationship. Like he sends letters to Stephen Hawking, then he keeps sending these letters even when he receives these form letters in response. That heart-wrenching story really shows the extent that we often have to go to in order to find the connection that we crave so desperately. It's interesting that both of these books feature such young male characters, both in such desperate need of connection. In Theriault's book, the postman is only 27 years old. In Foer's book, the main character is only 9. And I think that having these characters being young males brought a level of sensitivity to this book that might have been different if the authors had chosen differently. Although this novel was set in Canada and was originally written in French, it does feature some strong Japanese cultural themes. Where the characters exchange poetry, there's a big philosophical discussion about the circle of life and the constancy of time. This Japanese cultural theme was echoed in Yoko Ogawa's The Housekeeper and the Professor. And in this one, we read about another lonely man, this time a professor who's lost his short-term memory. And so he's not able to form new relationships, but he also seems to welcome the opportunity to escape from the tragic loss of the relationships that went away when he became disabled. Like many other translated Japanese works that I've read, this novel has very sparse writing that hints at but doesn't fully explain relationships, and so makes us even that much more hyper aware of the solitude that the characters are experiencing because these relationships are not even fully explained to us. The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware is about a young journalist whose promotion is riding on her writing the perfect puff piece about a luxury yacht's maiden voyage. No pressure, right? When she goes on board, she thinks she witnesses a murder of a non-existent passenger, but she's a perfectly unreliable narrator because of her alcoholism, her drug use, her PTSD, and complicated relationships with fellow passengers. This novel has been compared to Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express, where a group is sequestered on a vessel, and when a crime is committed, everyone is a suspect, even the victims themselves. However, it will also remind you of more recent thrillers like Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins, in which the witness may or may not be the main suspect, and her testimony is compromised because of her tendency to get drunk and forget everything. Another novel that isn't quite a thriller but does have a mystery that we're supposed to be solving along with the constantly drunk and bumbling female main character is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. Both of these novels have a female protagonist who is an unreliable narrator, and there is some young man who's waiting in the wings to rescue her from her crazy life. Life of Pi by Yann Martel was about an Indian boy's harrowing experience of losing his entire family aboard a ship bound for Canada and gaining an unlikely furry feline friend instead. I've read many books recently that detail the experience of Indian immigrants to the West, like The Windfall by Diksha Basu, which contrasted the dreams in India with the harsh realities that the young person actually experiences when they leave home bound for foreign lands. In Life of Pi's representation of the bond that can be formed between children and animals, I also recalled reading We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves by Karen Joy Fowler. In both of these books, we had parents who worked professionally with animals, and the children got immersed in that life as well. The Mother of All Questions is a collection of essays by Rebecca Solnit on the injustices suffered by women in traditional patriarchal societies. For its in-depth discussion about the widespread need for feminist support and the call to action for everyone to be a feminist, I was reminded of Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's We Should All Be Feminists. However, I haven't read that one yet. I'm only reacting to the title. So I have to rely on the parallels that Solnit herself draws on her writing and Virginia Woolf's. Virginia Woolf penned A Room of One's Own to explore the professional accomplishments that she said female authors might achieve if they had a place to write. A place meaning a literal physical space where they could explore their thoughts and express them freely, but also the place of acceptance that society had denied women for so long. A place at the table and the equality that that seat would mean. Although these essays are mostly Solnit looking out on society, she does start the book with a bit of her own biography, and she shares that while she doesn't owe anyone any explanation for her life choices, she was a victim of child abuse, and so she doesn't feel the need to have children just because someone else thinks that it's time for her to do so. In Solnit's conclusions, I was reminded of Roxane Gay's Hunger, in which Gay talked about the childhood trauma that she experienced and the impact that it's had on her adult choices. And the last book that I read in April was Home by Marilynne Robinson, which explores, among other things, the gender disparity that exists between how male and female siblings are treated in the same family. In this one, we have the baby sister Glory, who stays close to home literally and physically in her automatic continuation of the habits that were taught to her as a child, and Jack, the older prodigal son, who dips in and out of conformity to test the approval and acceptance of others. Robinson's choice of giving religious names to the female but not the male characters hints at the gender disparity that religious orders have perpetrated over time, and it reminded me of the Mortifications by Palacio, in which a pair of twins, male and female, are treated very differently, with a girl being pledged to a religious order chosen for her ability to breed future militants, while the boy is free to live however he feels like. Like Marilynne Robinson, Palacio also used his female characters as literary devices instead of giving us warm, nurturing females that we could endear ourselves to. In this large family that Robinson created, we meet 8 adult siblings and their aging father. The glaring missing link is the mother, the name that is almost synonymous with the title Home. We can't help but picture this mother who would have loved to have been there to welcome back her prodigal children, except that she's died outside of the boundaries of this novel. And while we do see the daughter failing at recreating this domestic scene, we also miss the mother. Since these books do have biblical basis, we're reminded that there was no mother to welcome back the biblical prodigal either. However, being deprived of the maternal character in this book reminded me of the cancer-riddled, caricatured maternal character in this book, Sing Unburied, Sing by Jesmyn Ward, in which the mother is making her contributions from her deathbed, and so her enervated state really diminishes what she has to say. Killing off a maternal character is a risk that most authors don't make, so it is interesting to see what kind of literary quality these authors got from including the death of these mothers. And that's it. Those are, including the previous video, those are the 10 books that I read in April, and 20 more books that relate to those books. So let me know if you like this video, if you want me to continue this series next month. Thanks for watching this video. Leave me a comment down below if you want to talk about these or any other books that you want to discuss. I'm always up for a bookish conversation. Share this video with another bookworm and subscribe if you haven't already. So we'll talk in the comments, and until next time, happy reading. Bye.